Well, good evening, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Um, let me see what's happening here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Afternoon, just had some glitch there for a second. I want to say good afternoon and good evening, and welcome to the In Review. And thank you for those joining me on Instagram. Not Instagram tonight, actually. I don't know what happened there, but on Facebook and therefore on YouTube and also on TikTok. Thank you so much for joining. And this is another Thursday night where we look at some of the big news. There's always big news which are happening all over the world, but it all depends on what you want to take and what you want to grab as your big news. I consider one of the big news this week is the Prime Minister in Rose Garden at number 10 Downing Street said there's going to be some very bitter pills, some very bitter and hard pills. There's going to be some tough times coming up in the budget. Therefore, there's going to be more than likely some increase in taxes. And then there was some leak thing about smoking. I believe that this government somehow is reaching to the point where they're actually trying to tell you and actually trying to control how you think and how you operate. The other thing also, which is in the big news, I must say, is and I jump all the way over into Jamaica because you had the Minister of Finance in Jamaica, Dr. Nigel Clark, was being swooped or headhunted, if what you want to say, by the IMF, International Monetary Fund. And so that's a big thing there, which is going on in Jamaica. Many people are questioning and saying whether it's a good move or a bad move, whether it's going to be a pawn in the hands of the IMF to wreak havoc upon third world countries or so, or is it just simply a dream that he has and wanting to, go places? Many people have dreams. And also, one of the things which is very interesting is that ABBA has complained about Trump as well. Many has complained about Trump using their music in politics. But they said, one of the groups said they want to use the money which they get from maybe suing him and donate it to Kamala. The question is, should musicians also get so caught up into politics and showing their colors? That's a very big question that one may need to ask as well. But it's very interesting as to how things unfold, and definitely, there should be a debate, and the debate should be coming up soon with Kamala Harris and Mr. Trump. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's crack on. Well, good evening. And I've got a shadowy figure of Mr. Gary Graham, if who is there, but maybe he's getting ready to come on or so, Mr. Graham. But ladies and gentlemen, let me just start. Today is the 29th of the 8th. I made a mistake earlier and said 28th of the 8th. And one of the big things which many people are looking at leading up to the general election was trusting the words by politicians, trusting the words by the manifestos that this is what they're going to do. This is what they have said, read my lips. I always say that when politicians knock on the doors of persons that they want to vote for them, they will say, trust me. And many people, against their bitter judgment, will somewhat say that I don't trust them. The apathy in politics is something which is major. And what it is because of the lack of trust. We have seen, for argument's sake, in Jamaica, if I juxtapose and go to Jamaica, whereby you had a 37% persons turnout to vote at the last general election. At the last local government election, there was, 29% came out to vote. And therefore, that is because of a lack of trust. And therefore, you have Mr. Starmer, who went to the polls recent days and said there shall be no taxes. And the Conservative was saying that there'll be taxes and certain things, don't trust these guys. And waboom, there you are, hitting the pensioners right below the belt. And now he said in October, there's going to be bitter pills. There's going to be bitter pills. It's going to be hard before it gets better. So therefore, and there's a 20 billion or 22 billion black hole in the system, which they found when they came into power. Reminds me of the time when I believe it was David Cameron won after Gordon Brown, and I think there was a note that said there's nothing, there's no money, whatever. But it's a very interesting time in the UK here, and there's also a bit about the far right is a very real threat. Says Keir Starmer. He's going after everyone, man. He's going after everyone. The autumn budget, he said, will be painful, says Mr. Starmer. And I'm going to play a bit of what he's saying right here, Mr. Starmer. Let me just find it right here. Share the screen. to the painful budget. Autumn budget will be painful, he says. And here we are.
I will be honest with you. There is a budget coming in October, and it's going to be painful. No other choice, given the situation that we're in. Those with the broadest shoulders should bear the heavier burden. And that's why we're cracking down on non-doms. Those who made the mess should have to do their bit to clean it up. And that's why we're strengthening the powers of the water regulator and backing tough fines on the water companies that have let sewage flood our rivers, lakes, and seas. But just as when I responded to the riots, I'll have to turn to the country and make big asks of you as well, to accept short-term pain for long-term good, the difficult trade-off for the genuine solution. And I know that after all that you have been through, that is a really big ask and really difficult to hear. That is not the position we should be in. It's not the position I want to be in. But we have to end the politics of the easy answer that solves nothing.
End the politics of the easy answer that helps nothing, says Mr. Starmer. Right? End the politics that ends nothing. I don't know what people think about this, but it's you say to someone that you want them to come into power, and you voted for them, and lo and behold, they're going totally against what they said they were going to do. Yeah, totally against what they said they were going to do, and many people are actually seeing the whole advent now of the Labour government. I have seen many people crying and said that they will never vote Labour again. And this is what's just under 2 months, if anything, and for another 5 years. But of course, the Conservative at this time, they are not able, or they are sort of not able to do much at present. And why that is so is because they're in the throes of trying to get their new leader. The new leader, which is going to be coming up in October. Next week is going to be end of the holidays, and Parliament is going to be back in session. And I just hope that somehow that there will be persons really taking to task and having good opposition to the government. And when I say good opposition, constructive opposition, not just opposition for opposition's sake. Because if Mr. Starmer is onto something, and if it's the best thing for the country, maybe it's good. But I've got a feeling as well. I've got a very niggly feeling that when he says the bitter pill and what it's going to be hard, it's going to be something which is not going to be that harsh in a way to try to, play politics with the whole thing. It's like the poll tax. Poll tax went in. Everybody ran, everybody made noise, and it was a big issue. And then they relent, and then they came back in with the poll counter tax. That could be a way which the government is trying to play it. And I'm sure many people are going to feel it, especially the pensioners at this time. Many people are going to feel the impact, because what apparently, and the Conservative is going to come out and say their views in that the government was handed a very strong economy. A very strong economy the government was handed. And therefore, by giving all these high wage increase to nurses, to trained persons, and to everyone, they should have taken that into consideration before they make these major payment out in order to deal with this whole thing. The question is again, are people really keen on voting again? Will this apathy really increase because you just can't trust the politicians? You can't trust them because they say you vote the government in and you vote the government out, but what you keep getting is the government in. So you vote the government out, you get the government in, right? You vote the government out, you get the government in. And if I look at some of the what Mr. Starmer said, is it warns painful budget is needed for a long-term good. That's what he says. The Prime Minister's warned October budget is going to be painful when he mentioned in the street, down the street, Rose Garden. We have not just inherited an economic black hole, but a societal black hole. That's what he said there. Not just inherited that, but inherited a societal black hole. Gary, how are you doing, sir? Good afternoon. Good evening.
Well,
are you there?
Sorry for the delay in coming to you, but something had come up and I had to address it before I come up. But anyway, it's great to be back with the great Sylbourne Sydial.
You had a call
from, did
you have a call from the Prime Minister?
I wouldn't say it was a call from the Prime Minister. I wish he would call. If he called, it wouldn't be too bad, but he's always promising to call me. I won't get to it.
Yes. No, I will just thank you for coming on. Thank you, Gary. Don't know what that's
okay.
You okay? You okay there? Yeah. Yeah. I was just saying, Gary, when the Prime Minister, Mr. Starmer, said that it's going to be a bitter pill. It's going to be very hard. We're going to have it's going to be hard before it gets better. But then many people who went to the polls just recently, they went and they voted based on certain promises. They voted on the promises that there will be no tax increase. They voted on the promises about the pension and all those sort of things. And what they're seeing is that everything is going against what they voted for. So people are somewhat disillusioned. And it is giving the impression now that if there was a lack or there's a strong apathy towards voting, people are just going to give up now and say it does make a big difference. Yeah, because what I just read a while ago about the budget, he said we have not just inherited an economic black hole, but a societal black hole. Pressed on potential tax rise, Starmer repeated his election pledge that there will be no increase in income tax, VAT or national insurance, but says full details will be laid out in the budget. Conservative leader Richard Sunak said the speech is the clearest indication of what Labour has been planning to do all along: raise your taxes. Is it that he's seeing that there is this massive black hole, we could think, and that he's trying to rectify it? And sometimes, being straight to the people is better than playing nicely.
Sylbourne.
Yeah, that's my name. Yeah.
You see, I want to believe that your listeners are intelligent individuals. I believe that they are. I think that you and I have tried our best. Now, your listeners know that you're conservative. I think your listeners also come to or has reached the conclusion that we are conservative in thought and in nature. We have not always agreed with the previous government, which was the conservative government. You and I I think we can honestly say we have also ridiculed that government many times.
Yeah.
But what the Labour Party had promised before, we've also warned your listeners, and I would even want to say that the Seymour or the Sylbourne Sydial TV show here is probably a little bit more popular than BBC one at the moment, even though the polls won't admit it. But we have also been very critical I think we could say being critical even with Labour Party before they came in. Now, they made a lot of promises that they're not going to able to keep. I think we're going to have to tell the population that the Labour Party has made a lot of promises that they will not be able to fulfill. If the Conservative Party was in, they would not have been making the promises, or they would not be doing what the Labour Party is thinking of doing, because the Conservative Party already knows that there's no money there. And when the Labour Party, before they came in, and they were saying more or less that there's money there, and then they went in, they more or less conceded to the whims of the NHS, the doctors, the nurses, which I'm not against them not being fulfilled, because our doctors and the nurses, the health service, has very much is the sector that within the public sector which deserves pay rises. Deserves it, and I wish they could have done it. But the thing about it, right, when they have now conceded to the demands of the health service and to the whims of the trained drivers, where are they getting the money from? Where are they getting the money from? And then with everything else, like they've hiked up they're saying that the gas, the electricity is going up. They have withdrawn the winter payments from pensioners. The RAC, as we have seen and been informed, have advised the Chancellor to cut 5 pence from the cost of fuel. I mean, if the Labour government gets through this, then I think that they will be the best government in the world, not only in England, the best government in the world. Because when you look and see what the governments of the world are having to negotiate, I can't see how the British government of the present day is going to be a success without the world seeing or getting the green line.
Go on.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Now, you see, one of the things which is very interesting, which is happening now, and fortunately next week the recession is over. Sorry, when I said the recession, the parliamentarians will be back, and there'll be effective debates in the House. And I believe the Lib Dems have come out to say they're going to stop the plan by Labour for removing to keep the fuel for the pensioners. Lib Dem is coming out. There's not much from Conservative at this present moment because they are in the throes of this election for the new leader. And I guess maybe they don't want to ruffle the bed, but I believe that Jeremy Hunt and the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, it was on their watch, and they're right. And I'm really glad in a way that they did not go right away, because sometimes when the persons were there before they just go, sometimes what you have is a situation whereby there's no level of accountability of what they did before. So I'm glad that Mr. Rishi Sunak is there. I'm glad that Jeremy Hunt is there, and therefore they can hold to task the Labour government if it is a situation that they're trying to pull a wool over the British people's eyes, or is it that the Conservative were pulling a wool over the people's eyes? Where was this 20 billion? Is it 22 billion black hole or whatever? Someone is lying. Who is lying? Someone is not telling the truth, Gary.
Well, the Labour Party wants to. I mean, everybody knows. Anybody who's a Conservative, and even those who are neither Conservative or Labour, I'm sure would agree whatever mistakes or whatever it is, whatever bad light there is to be shown, they will always put it onto the Conservative Party anyway. So, the Labour Party will say, and they will do whatever it needs to be said or done in order to make the Conservative Party or the previous government look bad. They'll do whatever comes. And whether there is a hole of £1 or 1 billion, you know, the Labour Party is not going to take any responsibility for that. But I can't see anyway. I can't see how the Labour Party is going to really make the biggest impact that this world has ever seen without the rest of the world pulling through and even knowing and seeing really what the economy is like. The British people, they are not fools.
Yes.
The British people are not silly individuals. They know perfectly well. I believe some know perfectly well, whether it was Conservative or the Labour Party as they are in now as government, there is going to be problems. And probably what the Labour Party has given into, the Conservative wouldn't have given into it because they already know or knew the situation, that there's nothing that they could do. Where is the Labour Party going to get the money? Now, even this, and I'll hand back to you, Sil. I believe that Keir Starmer had even given signals. Am I wrong? He had given signals that the government was reconsidering the HS2, the extension of the HS2 from is it from Birmingham to Leeds or from Manchester to Leeds? I think there was going to be some reconsideration and to extend the funding of building of the continuation of the high-speed training, because Boris, or was it Sunak who had said that they were going to cut the extension because it's from Manchester to London, isn't it? HS2. Is it from Manchester to London or is it from Birmingham to London?
Yeah, but I think that said they had to cut it because they never had the money or something of that nature.
Well, that's what they said. That's what they said. But I'm sure within the past week, I've heard the Prime Minister say that they're reconsidering reopening that and looking at it to even continue with the extension. I'm sure that's what they said. Now, if that is the case, where are they getting the money from? How are they going to finance that? If they're withdrawing money, if they are withdrawing money from the pensioners, they're withdrawing money from the pensioners, because remember, the Labour Party is a socialist government. It's not it's not capitalistic in conservative rule books at all. It is a socialist government, and socialist government, as far as I'm aware, or the Labour government in the UK, is one for the pensioners and for parents and children and everything like that. Yet they're cutting that.
And they always take people's money and use it.
Exactly. So where are they getting the money to do all of this? But yet they're cutting on winter payments, and they are raising money or raising the cost of gas and electricity over the winter time. I mean, what's going on, sir?
Well, I'm very concerned, and a lot of people are raising concerns about even the Labour government. I was listening to James O'Brien the other day, and he said it was a boring speech. But many people are saying, boring or not, the key issue is that if it is a serious thing, which he's talking about, and taking the wool off the British people's eyes, then it needs to be done. But then I saw something again whereby he's talking about smoking. Keir Starmer is going to clamp down on smoking. So clamp down, and if I put up this picture right here, it says pub gardens, outside nightclub, restaurant terraces, outside sports stadium, children parks, pavement by universities and hospitals. The question you got to ask yourself is, it is what we always talk about, that they try to come in and want to actually control your whole life. Now, I'm not a smoker, you know, and definitely not, you know, but I think it is interfering so much into people's life, even though they claim it was a leaked. It was something which was leaked. And I believe, God, if we got 2 months so far of the Labour government, my days, my days, my days. Can you imagine another 4 years?
I said to someone today, like yourself, I'm not a smoker,
Mm.
and I'm not a smoker. So, but I told them the principle of this is that when you look at the governments, whether they are totalitarian, communist, or in the free world, Democrat or Republican or whatever you want to call it within the free world, it would seem that the object of every one of these governments is the same: to control people.
Control people's life.
Yeah. That seems to be the order of the day: to control people's lives. And these politicians will deny, and they want to give free air and clean air and all of that crap. I mean, sorry for saying crap, but the thing about it is that air moves. And how can you have a clean air zone,
yes,
right, in one area and expect the air to be different as soon as you step out of that zone? The air around you moves, pollution will move, everything around you in the air moves. So how can you pay for a clean air zone?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, for me to just announce to yourselves what the Prime Minister said, I'm talking, when I'm speaking, I always have to mention and to ensure that people understand that I'm talking about the UK, because we talk a lot about Jamaica as well. What Keir Starmer is saying, he has confirmed he's looking at changes to smoking laws after a leaked government document reportedly revealed Labour's intention to ban smoking in pub gardens, outdoor restaurants, and near football stadium. The Prime Minister is facing cabinet tensions over possible stricter tobacco and vape bill, with business department official warning that the move could create financial tension for the industry. It comes as he raised concerns about a potential fuel duty increase after refusing to rule out a tax rise in the autumn budget in a press conference in Berlin. I wonder how much can the British public take it. But of course, what they're saying and what he's saying at the same time is that he's going on all different fronts, Gary. He's saying the far right is a very real threat, says Keir Starmer. Because really and truly, what the people that normally rise up against these things are what they deem as thugs and far right. The far right is a very real threat which need to be combated, Sir Keir Starmer said. Speaking on a visit to Paris, the Prime Minister said the best way to deal with the snake oil of populism and nationalism was through delivery and showing their progressive democratic answers to the many challenges we face is the way forward. Guys, I'm telling you, he's not going to last longer. He's not going to last long. I believe election is going to call within 2-3 years.
You think so?
Oh, yes. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if election is called, because after what is going to happen, people are going to rail and rise up and not going to accept certain things. Because guess what? People are going through it following the COVID period, following the advent of Ukraine, following the Middle East. And as a result of that, there was massive increase. And then the Conservatives, in a way, was getting it down, even though the Labour Party is saying that there's a 20 billion fallout, and Miss Iron Lady, the new Iron Lady, which is, they all sound alike. As a matter of fact, they all sound like Keir Starmer. They all have the same sort of mannerism. But they're not going to last long, Gary. Take it from me. There's going to be an uproar, man. People are not going to accept this, Gary, if what they say is what they are talking about. You know.
Well, let's see, Sylbourne.
Yeah.
So let's see, because I think the Labour Party. I don't think the Labour Party itself will succeed. They're going to have to raise taxes. Everything that they've promised that they will not do, they're going to do. They're going to have to do it.
Yes.
They're going to have to do it, and they may not do it the way how it's always been done, but they're going to raise taxes some other way. You know, there's no party that will ever come in that will ever do good. I don't think so. I'm not convinced. Probably I'm not optimistic, or I'm a pessimist. Probably I'm a pessimist. But I don't think Keir Starmer can help. Even with the point that I think you raised, I think you alluded to it. I don't know if you've done it already. You said a little bit about it when I was not able to connect or with you. But by the very fact, I think that the news is saying that they want to get closer to the EU, but not enter the EU. I mean, how is that going to?
Yeah, I'm watching. I'm watching those movements in Paris and watching those movements in Germany. It's like something behind the back door is going on, Gary. There's some sort of deal apparently going through the back door as well. I'm watching this space.
Of course.
Watching this space. What is happening? You know.
I really believe that Keir Starmer wants to enter Europe. He wants England to be. I'm not sure. I've been asking questions. I mean, I can't use those who I have spoken to in a poll because it won't be a large section of the population. But those I've spoken to have indicated to me that the English society or population will not want to join back the EU. Okay, that may be so. That may be so. But I believe that the government, the Labour government, wants to. Now anybody at all who is in business, business for themselves, in big pharma or whatever it is, they will tell us that the day England came out of the EU was the day that things began to get worse.
I believe that there's a massive cross section of the British public who believe Brexit didn't work and believe Brexit was a betrayal and everything like that. And many people wouldn't mind there's this love affair with Europe is rekindled and the romance can start back, through the back door. I'm going to bush, Sometimes I'm going to bush, Gary. They're going to bush, behind, as there's a video one time, this guy climb up the wall and the man lick him out and say, "Is who you?" Guy I climb up thinking that he's what is it, Romeo and Juliet? The old man does come out to the window and say, "Oh yeah." So therefore, there could be some romancing which is going on because Keir Starmer tried it when he invited everyone to Blenheim the other day, all the European persons there, fetting it. And I'm sure that he's under pressure from the parliamentary caucus of the Labour Party because the Labour Party wasn't really into Brexit. But at the same time, they had to honor it because it went through the referendum and went through the process. But I believe that many people wouldn't mind that they become an anti-Brexit sentiments that come up, just like how Scotland has always been pushing for a referendum and to come out of England, the UK. But now, of course, they are being messed up because they lost a lot of their seats. So that's very interesting. But I think I just want to move on from that, and we'll watch your space regarding this October budget debate. But I hope and trust that the Conservatives, the Lib Dems, that they will come out and the Greens, and they will not just accept things lying down, and they will stand up and speak up for the people of the UK. I want to go into Trump. It's very interesting here. I have a complaint about Trump using songs in their campaign, Gary.
Is it?
Yeah. everybody is complaining now. A lot of people are complaining about the music which Trump is using. And I find it very interesting. Hear the angle that I'm coming from here. ABBA complain about Trump using their songs in the campaign. And going further, you have the group song and videos also include Money, Money, Money and Dancing Queen were also played at event in Minnesota in July, Swedish newspaper. And it goes further that ABBA are the latest in a long list of artists or their estates have objected to Mr. Trump using the music to promote his presidential campaign. This week, Foo Fighters took to social media to say they hadn't granted permission for My Hero to be used at a Trump rally. The Trump campaign said they had permission to use the song. Last month, Celine Dion condemned the unauthorized use of a clip, My Heart Will Go On. And the family of late soul singer Isaac Hayes ordered Mr. Trump to stop playing Hold On, I'm Coming and demanded $2.4 million in license fees. That's pounds. But listen to what someone said. A spokesperson for the band, called Foo Fighters, told the publication that any royalties received from the Trump campaign using the song would be donated to Kamala Harris' campaign. So these musicians are now being very political now. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? I mean, you think they're getting a bit very petty?
Well, I mean,
or they just don't want.
Again, everything Sylbourne is becoming politicized, isn't it? Everything.
Yes.
I mean, again, personality clashes.
Mm.
And I don't know, it's getting very petty, as we said before. It is petty. I mean, I'm not even going to say much about it.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Somebody said, if the people haven't uproared in the last 14 years of austerity, why would they uproar after a few weeks of a Labour government? Brexit was a big mistake. The whole Europe are laughing at Britain. I don't think, I beg to differ, Tony. I think the people in the Europe may be actually very jealous of the UK to a certain extent, regarding Brexit. To a certain extent. Many people say people are laughing after the UK. I don't see anybody laughing after the UK. I think the people in the UK are laughing after themselves.
I think there was a few years back when England was going through the Brexit, and
yes.
even shortly after, I read where even Italy and there were other countries that were even contemplating
Brexiting
of exiting Europe. So Britain was brave enough. Now, even though the Boris government, the Boris administration didn't have anything, they didn't have a clue. They never had a strategy at all of exiting Europe. They just exited and then found themselves as we are in today. So
they're hoping everything would fall in line very quickly, but it didn't.
So the other countries who wanted to do what England didn't have the balls, I would say, to do it, because they didn't have a strategy either. So they were wondering and looking and waiting to see what the effects would be on Britain, so that at least when they then decide to do, if they were ever going to exit Europe, to see what strategy they would take and what they would do to manage that. So it's a wait and see kind of thing, because if England goes back, if Britain does go back, which of course I do believe that there may be some in the next few months. I don't know about weeks, but or days. I would say within the next few months, what Starmer may do. He may not fully want to go in, but let's see what he terms it as. Let's just wait and see what words he uses to term it, so that it doesn't look like there's a return into Europe, but there is a relationship that comes out of what he's doing that more or less brings them to Europe without actually saying we're
We are,
entering
yeah.
into.
I personally think that there is some backdoor deals which are happening there to bring the UK back into Europe in the form of relationships, in the form of trying to bridge areas in the market structure as well. But I want to go back to what um, Tony said on Instagram here, which is a good point. If the people haven't uproared in the last 14 years of austerity, why would they uproar after a few weeks of a Labour government or a couple months of a Labour government lying to the people blatantly, straight in their face?
Listen,
And yeah.
listen, 14 years. 14 years. That is a very, what's his name? What's that viewer's name? You said?
Person is Tony. He's on Instagram. Yes.
Tony. Okay, Tony on Instagram. I think that's a brilliant statement there, because what the Conservative Party, in my estimation, was doing, I think they were trying to manage the situation as it was. What the Labour Party has done, look at the effects of what they have done now. Now, we know that the reason for the uproar, and I use that word in particular to what's happening in the various cities today or in the past couple of weeks, the reason why there has been, in my estimation, troubles on the streets is because of what happened in Southport with the taking of the life of
the three girls.
Of the two girls, which sadly, yes, lives were taken. But it was the opportunity for what has been boiling all of these many years, I would say, for let's use the years that you have stated, the 14 years. Let's use that as a guide, because it could be more, it could be less, but let's use that. The certain elements in society decided to use that. Again, why? Because the government of the day, which is Labour, what did they do when they came in regards to the immigrants or the boat people coming in? They said that they would keep them. They said they're going to keep them. They're not turning them away. And even some of the properties that may have been there, they're refurbishing them or they're opening up. And the people of this blessed land, if I can use that, do not want, there are elements within this society that do not want any more immigrants. The Labour Party has opened the doors, not like the Conservative Party. Now, the Conservative Party, I was not in agreement, and I will say that again. I was not in agreement with what the Conservative Party was doing in regards to sending them to Rwanda.
Yes.
I wasn't in agreement with that. However, the Conservative Party has been consistent in the sense that they wanted to control their borders and to maintain a particular amount of immigration coming in and going, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes,
I may not be able to properly explain the policies.
No, Gary, you're articulating it very well. I hear what you're saying.
But they controlled the borders of the United Kingdom. What the Labour Party has done, they have more or less dismantled that. So we're now seeing, if you remember, I think in the first couple of weeks, more came in, probably within a specific time frame than at any other time during the Conservative Party, because the immigration policies, as far as I'm aware, and the strict control of borders that they tried to maintain have been dismantled. And because people are coming in now, taking over several areas, and the government is saying and has said that they're putting migrants in certain areas of the country, people are against it. People are reacting against that. And that's what's causing, I believe, the problems. Now, listen, I'm an immigrant. in the sense that even though, we are here and our children are born here, but it's because of what our parents did in coming here in the 60s, in the 50s, in the 40s, probably in the 30s. They've had their children, and their children have come, been ingrained in society, taken up various responsibilities, and they're living a good life. But we're all immigrants to some extent.
Mm.
We're all immigrants.
Yes,
But
yes.
but it's those now coming in, and look what's happening. Look what's taking place. Half of those who have come in, I'm going to say half. It could be less, it could be more. But let me just go down the middle. Half of those coming in are the ones that sometimes cause the problem.
Mm.
They're stealing, they're raping. Sadly to say, they're doing that. They're assaulting. They're the ones, let's say, doing the things that the rest of the population is uneasy about. And the murders.
Well, without a doubt, there's a conversation which is being avoided, and it's got to be confronted. And I don't know who's going to bail the cat. And I hope that with Parliament back in session next week, they will be trying to bail the cat in regards to the whole aspect of immigration, the whole fiscal policies. You know what I'm looking for? I'm looking to hear what the big belly man is going to say soon. That is the Bank of England governor, because with so much money has been pushed into the system of recent days, Gary, through the nurses, the teachers, and everyone. Of course, people need money. I'm going to hear what he says about the amount of money which is in the system. If he's going to keep holding the interest rate as where it is, or he's going to push it back up. You're going to watch your space, because they're talking about it going down, But anyway, we watch your space on that one. But before we go, I just want to touch on something which was very interesting. I don't know if you have seen it, and this is big because it's an international thing. We're discussing international issues here. But in Jamaica, the Minister of Finance, who is Nigel Clark, was recently appointed. Let me see if I can find it. He was recently appointed, Gary. Oh, I don't know if he was the proposal for him to go, or was he appointed, or did he apply for the job to be the deputy director of the International Monetary Fund? The deputy director of the International Monetary Fund. Nigel Clark is the present, well, I think he's still the present Minister of Finance in Jamaica. And on of recent days, he was appointed to be the next Deputy General. And there's a press release on the International Monetary Fund side, which I'll just show right here. I was doing a little research, and let me see if I can find it. IMF Managing Director, there she is. IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva proposes appointment of Mr. Nigel Clark as a deputy managing director. Right? In announcing her selection of Mr. Clark, Ms. Georgieva said, Mr. Clark is an exceptional public servant and policymaker with proven leadership in institution building and economic crisis management, who has stewarded this country's economy, that is Jamaica, to a stronger and more sustainable position. Since 2016, he has been the IMF's chief counterpart on successive and historical successful program for Jamaica, including an extended fund facility, a precautionary standby arrangement, and most recently a precautionary liquidity line plus resilience and sustainable facility, leaving the country with robust economical fundamental. Nigel also brings a wealth of experience from a stellar private sector career. Have you had any thoughts about this, Gary? Have you had any thoughts about this move there? A minister of government, a parliamentarian, while in his tenure as a minister and as a parliamentarian, apart from going to the IMF.
Has he resigned his seat? Is he resigning his seat?
Yeah, I think those are formalities which are going to happen, according to the Prime Minister.
Yeah. I mean, I wish it was me, but but I wish him the best. I mean, I don't know if he's had any if he knew or knows this individual for at any length of time for the individual to have considered him for the post. Well, I wish him the best. I mean, if he's the best man for the job, then fair dues. If he's doing it because he's pulling strings for himself and himself alone, then that's another thing. But I can't make that judgment.
You see,
I can't, because I don't know him.
You see what I have to go by. I have to go by what I know and what is the fact. And the fact of the situation is that the minister has applied for another job and moving on to the IMF. And when I saw that right there, I said, that is so classic, because many politicians these days believe that they need to stay there till them dead, till they are it's a golden age home. I think there's a guy.
Did he apply for the job? Did he apply for the job?
This is what I do not know, because I do not know if he applied for it or he was headhunted. People get headhunted. You know what I mean, Gary?
But the thing about it, Sil, I don't mean to stop your flow, but the thing about it, the IMF, like the WHO and all other United Nations governmental agencies, IMF is one of those agencies of world government. And so the what I'd like to say or even ask, I mean, the IMF is a part of the United Nations, isn't it? And so therefore they headhunt those who will best facilitate the work
of them.
Because IMF is a global institution, isn't it? And so therefore, those who work at that level are not people who I don't think would necessarily apply for the job. It would be those agencies that would headhunt across the globe those that they believe that's fit and able to operate in the posting that is there to be filled. So I don't think he applied. I wouldn't have thought if he did, then that's another thing. But I don't think that it's a job that people would apply for. But it's a job that they'll be headhunted.
But I can go further. In 2022, Mr. Clark was elected chairman of the board of governors of the Inter-American Development Bank and the Inter-American Investment Corporation. Prior to his public service career, he was a vice chairman and chief financial officer of the Muslim Group, a regional conglomerate, having started his career as an equity derivatives trader at Goldman Sachs in London. So you're right to a point right there. Based on his rise to a certain extent, it wouldn't be surprising if they had headhunted him, because the IMF managing director, what she said is, proposes appointment of Mr. Nigel Clark as deputy managing director. Proposes. That's what she says. There's a key word. Announced today, the executive will propose or proposal to appoint him. So I wouldn't be surprised as to what you said, that he was appointed and headhunted. But what I see in it as well is that a man of a dream, a man of an aspiration, and therefore one should go for it. And politics, in any frame of the word, in the UK or whatever, these guys shouldn't be so tied up in a way for 4 or 5, 10 years, as if to say this is where their navel string lies. They need to be able to know when it is time to move on. And I believe that, just because you're there for 3, 4 years or 5 years and you didn't finish your tenure, I don't see any person any problem with that. The only thing I say this though is this: the whole issue about loyalty and patriotism has nothing to do, I would say, with a passport. Because one could say that Mr. Mark Golden is even more patriotic or loyal than Nigel Clark, because even though he's got his British passport and he's a dual citizen, he's still there Jamaican, he's not leave. But Nigel Clark, right there within the 4 years of his tenure, just get up and gone. You get what I'm trying to say? You see, I'm throwing it out like this because this is what everybody's saying. This is what people are saying. People are saying he's loyal. Some days disloyal. Some are saying leave the man alone. So these are some of the discussions which are happening, and nothing is wrong, I believe, with these discussions, honestly speaking. But I wish him all the best.
I mean, I wish him the best, but again, some people go into politics for various reasons. Some go in it, you say, they're loyal to the country or to the party, whichever country or party that is, they're loyal to it. They will stay. And it's not even to say that they haven't had opportunities to go elsewhere, but they're not going. They're not doing it because they feel that they'll do more good being a politician or doing what they're doing at present. Obviously, there are some again that go in for ulterior motives. They want to go in, but they also want to be seen by greater organizations. They feel they've got more to offer. So when organization approaches them now, after being in the party or whatever they've been doing for however long that may be, and an organization greater and more scope than where they are, and that's what they're looking for, obviously they're going to get up and go because they're fulfilling their dreams and their vision for their own life. So to some extent, you can't blame individuals if that's what they want to do. And if that's what Nigel Clark wants to do, then fine, let him go. If it's for the wrong reason of Sylbourne, it's not going to work. Obviously, it won't work.
Yes.
But if it's for the right reasons, then fair dues to him. God bless him. I think, there's nothing we can do or say. I just think that he ought to just do and fulfill the role in which he believes he is being sent to do.
Yes, definitely. And finally, regarding America, I think I saw President Biden on the beach again. I mean, let him rest for his old age, and I mean, it's you can't blame him. Let him just rest and enjoy the rest of his life. As far as I'm concerned, Kamala was always in the driving seat in America to a certain extent, running things behind the scene, and that is why many people are saying she's saying that she's going to do a lot of things once she becomes president. But many people are saying, hang on a second, you are the vice president. Why don't you do it now? And one of the reasons why I believe that Trump is still linking her so much with Biden so much, because to say that you were with him, you are both part and parcel. Biden wasn't very cognitive. You are the one running the show in America. So therefore, by saying that you're going to do all these things once you become president is a cop-out. And that's what I believe. And that's why I believe Trump is still tying the whole Biden thing with Kamala. And I believe they're supposed to be having, I think there's discussions about having their initial debate very soon. And then Kamala apparently is supposed to be having a one-on-one interview, because many people haven't actually seen her in any full-on debate or interview as well. So those are the things there, Gary. Watch your space for leading up to November the 20th. But I believe that Trump needs to play it very. It can't keep attacking each other. That's one thing. They got to stop attacking each other and deal with the policies. Let the policies be the order of the day.
What I'd like to say to Camilla.
You want to say to Kamala? Okay, let me just link you up with her. Link here. Kamala, he speaks. Yeah, Kamala. Sorry, I was good a while ago.
What I would say to Camilla and to anybody out there that is moving towards leadership or any type of leadership, whether it be spiritual leadership or economic or political or whatever, if you are going towards it, just go with an open book. Don't speak and say, I am going to do this when I get in, and I am going to do that when I get in, and I promise this. and I promise that. More often than not, it doesn't work. It won't work. And egg is then you spit in the sky and they say it fall in your face. Or egg is not a pleasant thing when it's thrown at you because it stains and it's raw and everything else that's associated with having an egg on you. I just believe that from the moment she had begun to say that, if she had begun to say that, it's going to fail for her because she can't promise every politician, every presidential candidate that has ever run, at least of late. And I said, I promise to do this, and I promise to do that. The Prime Minister of the UK promised to do this and promised to do that. It hasn't worked. There's going to be problems later on. Just go in and just do what is in front of you to do. Because it always seems that when people go in and try to do what they promise to people, there always seems to be a struggle in accomplishing and doing what you promise. So it's not worth it. It really isn't worth it.
I think the key word to use a lot is I propose that when I reach into office, these are the things that I aim to do and I want to do. However, give me time or so, but don't make that fundamental promise there. I think you're right, and I believe she got a very good chance. I believe Donald Trump have a very good chance. I believe they're equal to a certain extent, but we never know until the 5th of November. Yep. So Gary, listen, man, have a good night. Yeah.
Thank you. And the same to you, man.
Yes, rest well, and we watch your space and see how things unfold in this country, and we're gonna talk about at some point some issue about oil. They said in Jamaica, but there's some little to and fro about the whole thing. But I'm gonna sort of do some more reading into it, and then come up with instead of jumping on the bandwagon regarding this particular topic about oil being found in Jamaica or exploration and all of those things. But all the best, Gary.
All right, God bless.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining tonight, Thursday night, actually. I feel I won't be in Saturday night. I'll be on London Saturday night. I want to say thank you for those joining me on Instagram. I got the Instagram, came on back eventually. Thank you for those joining me on TikTok. Thank you for your support. Remember to like and subscribe and to like. And for YouTube, thank you so much for your input. And finally, on Facebook as well. So we want to be blessed. Have a good night. Cheers.